Okay. Well, welcome. We're so glad you're here. We're going to be teaching tonight about nutrigenomics, and my name is Angie Huntley. It's my joy to be here, and I will be team teaching with my colleague Shanell Hughes. And Shanell Hughes is the one who introduced me almost 10 years ago. We're going on about 9.5 years
Oh,
ago to this wonderful science called nutrigenomics. So for 9 years, I have represented this biotech company called LifeVantage, and they've really pioneered the science of nutrigenomics. And now, because they pioneered it, they're so far out in front of it. We kind of lead the charge and we specialize in nutrigenomics. And what that is it's the science of nutrition. And in our case, it's nutritional formulations. And they kind of look like supplements, but they're different. And we'll explain how they're different. And it's how nutrition affects the expressions of your DNA or your genome. And that's where the word genomics comes in. And that's how nutrigenomics is. It's really, really special and it has the ability to change lives. And we know that firsthand. 9 years ago, I was executive director of a ministry here in Southwest Michigan. And my family was opening a franchise restaurant, of which I was leading the charge. And I'm the mother of 5 young men. At the time, we were bringing in our fifth into our family. And he, at the time, was a 15-year-old who had come from really cyclical trauma, abuse. And so that was really a lot. I was handling a lot between the organizations that I was running and my children and my family, and really trying to help this young man adapt into a new home and new family. And at the same time, one of my youngest sons, Gabe, who is an identical twin, he was 10 at the time, he and his twin brother, and he was very ill. And I spent 10 months trying to find something that would help him. And I'm a fixer and I'm a solution-oriented person. And so I really exhausted everything I could find. I study a lot. And so I looked into, of course, elimination diets and every kind of supplement. And we worked with specialists and doctors, and he underwent so many diagnostics and nothing helped him. And I was frustrated and I was skeptical because it seemed like everyone I met had an answer for Gabe. And Gabe missed all of fifth grade. So he and his brother were in the same class, and his brother was going to school every day, being a normal, healthy 10-year-old, vibrant. And Gabe couldn't make it through, 10 a.m. I'd have to pick him up if he could even go to school that day because he would just be too weak and a lot of symptoms from nausea to headaches to heavy limbs. And my dear friend Shanell, who fortunately I had a really good relationship with, and I knew her well. We are both business owners. She, at the time, I ran the nonprofit and the restaurant, and she owned a senior living center or a nursing home, and usually end of life care. And I was really familiar with her business. I had been out there a few times in a ministry capacity and knew some of her residents, and I knew her heart. And especially, I knew her heart for me and my family. And she kept at me a little bit. So if you've had someone keeping at you, it's
mhm,
because they love you and they
mhm.
want what's best for you. And I'm so grateful she did. And I look back at that time and I think if it had been
Oh.
anybody else other than
I would have
Chanel,
listened.
truly, like I wouldn't have listened. I really wasn't open to her. I was
Mm,
internally kind of rolling my eyes when she would tell me that she knows of this natural thing that could really help Gabe. And my inner dialogue was like, "Oh, come on, Chanel. I've tried everything. There's nothing that can help Gabe." And
mm,
and I hate that feeling because inside you want to think something's got to help my son. And there was a day, probably the third or fourth time that she reached out to me. She said a few things that got my attention in a really poignant way. And I know her to be very honest. And she said, Angie, the overseeing physician at Gull Arbor, which is her senior living facility, she said the overseeing physician at Gull Arbor has recommended that I put every single resident on this natural product. And of course, she raised her eyebrow and she said, so I studied it for 8 months. And that got, so the two things that really got my attention there was a physician, first of all, I've never really heard a physician recommend like a proprietary blended natural product.
No.
No. And then she said that she studied it 8 months. And I knew there's not even that much research on pharmaceuticals. So there definitely isn't on like a natural product. But she's super diligent. So that kind of raised my eyebrow. And she said, I studied it 8 months. The research was extremely validating. And so I tried it on every resident. And she said, and Angie, I've seen amazing things. I've seen people go off meds. I've seen people come off of hospice. I've seen people come out of dementia. And I have since decided it's a wiser business expense for me to pay for every resident to utilize Nutrigenomics because everybody's more well and they're easy to care for. That got my attention. I was intrigued enough to listen, even though I couldn't make the connection between my 10-year-old and people who were, in my opinion at the time, very geriatric. And so I just thought, oh, okay, I'll listen. I mean, that's crazy. I can't believe it. And
Mm.
I went to a class like this because she would present it to the families of the residents, and if they agreed, she would pay for it. And it sounded too good to be true. So I always tell people what you hear is going to sound too good to be true. Um, but what I've learned through the years and what Shanell and I have found as we've just had the privilege of being able to help now hundreds and hundreds of people is that your body is what's too good to be true. And the way you're created really is. And what we do is we empower, enable your body to step into how it was created to be powerful to heal. But at the time, off the cuff, when you first learn the information, man, it sounds too good to be true. And I was skeptical, of course. And I always tell people, I want you to be skeptical. We do have enough information, we have enough validation, we have enough to really stand up to anybody's skepticism if they're really open. And so to talk through and communicate and dig in enough through their skepticism. But we live in a day and age where you should be skeptical because there's a lot of really bad things out there.
Mm.
And so I heard that information. I thought, what have I got to lose? And we were already financially backwards with medical bills with our son. And so I said, you know what? I'll try it for Gabe and I'll try it for Deshaun because we didn't have any medical rights to him yet. And he was just a mess. He had, from extreme PTSD, no sleep patterns, really struggled with anxiety and suicidal ideation and as well as just had been neglected. So his body, whether he was storing trauma and that's where his pain was from, or there were really medical things going on where he needed some care. So I put him on it and I put myself on it because I thought I'm the mom. That's the responsible thing to do. I'll try it. We'll see what happens. Even though at the time I thought there's nothing wrong with me. And which is comical now when I look back. But at the time I thought there's nothing wrong with me. And I immediately got my son back. And I say immediately because I went home from Chanel's and gave it to Gabe and Deshaun. And Gabe felt like going to school the next day. There were 3 days left of the school year. And Gabe went to school and he made it through the whole day. And I just couldn't believe it. And the next day he went, and the next day he went. Like it just the disease process, which I now know was autoimmune, but the disease process that was trying and working so hard to manifest in his body, it just stopped it. Like it just right before my
Right.
eyes, and I'll never be able to unsee that. Either will he. He's 20 now, and he'll say, we can never unsee that, and we have to at least share. Um, Deshaun, it leveled him emotionally and mentally. He started sleeping, his knee pain went away, his back pain went away. But most of all, he really found like a calm and a peace mentally. For his mental health, it was doing what it had done for Gabe's, disease process health. And then for myself, I realized, but not right away, because I told you what my life was like. I was so overextended, I didn't have time to think about me. And so I realized about 4 months later that I really didn't have IBS anymore. And I had struggled with severe IBS all my life. I've never really felt it's had been kind of debilitating. And since that time, 9 years ago, it hasn't been an issue for me. In fact, with the products I've added, it's only gotten better and better. And so I mention all those on a really high level because, of course, there's a lot more details in each of our stories. But I mention each of those scenarios because they're so removed from each other. You know, they don't have a whole lot in common with each other. Gabe had an autoimmune process manifesting. Deshaun had mental health and trauma issues going on, and I had severe gut issues and hormonal issues. I also noticed that my hot flashes stopped. And how can something, without it being, the snake oil, how can something affect all those things? And so as I've looked into it through the years, I've learned the essence of what our mission is at LifeVantage and what nutrigenomics is. And if I start with what nutrigenomics is, it's really based on the premise that, and not the premise, it's the fact that 80% of your DNA is dormant. And while we blame our DNA for so much, and we think that our DNA has us very destined for a certain health or life expectancy outcome or a certain way that we're going to age, really there's only 20% of our DNA that's moving and grooving, and only 2% of your DNA is coded. Meaning, like I have brown eyes, that's coded. I'm 5'9", that's coded. There's no amount of diet, exercise, or activation that it's going to make me 5'2" and petite. Like I'm a big girl. And that's in my 2%. But in the 98%, our genetic pathways are very, very influenceable, and we do influence them. And that's why the need for nutrigenomics is even higher, because whether it's processed foods or EMFs or chemicals that have been introduced since the Industrial Revolution, which there's like over 80,000 of them that are harmful to us, pesticides and, GMOs and all the things that our bodies face make our they influence those genetic pathways, and they get them kind of askew. And so where nutrigenomics comes in is because our DNA is really like the programming of a very, very intricate computer, more intricate than like NASA's computer. And I don't know if you've ever heard, but a little known fact about technology is that the NASA computer 50 years ago wasn't as complex as our iPhone now. Like our iPhone is actually more high tech than NASA's computer was back then. And so even then, this isn't as complex as our DNA, but it's a good example. Because if we know that 80% of our DNA is dormant and only 20% is doing something, a really good example is my phone, which is doing a couple things. It's got the time on it. It's got a super cute picture of my grandson, which because my background is blurred, you might not be able to see it. But you know what's on your phone, your picture, a couple notifications. It's telling me how much battery I have left and the date, and it's doing a few things. But there's so much that it's capable of that it's actually not doing, because I'm not reading a book right now. I'm not checking my email. I'm not on social media. I'm not taking a picture. I'm not taking a video. I'm not transcribing something. It has so much capability. And even with its capability, it'll never step into any of those functions unless we signal it. And so if I know where the signal is, I can say, hey, I want this function to do something. And now my flashlight turns on. It's programmed for it, it's equipped for it. But if I never knew that signal and how to flip that switch, it would always be dormant. It would never, kind of like your light switch, it would never ever turn on. And that's like the programming in your body. And we formulate nutritional components to signal, just like I just signaled that flashlight, these signal pathways in your DNA that are responsible for exponential healing and repair. So that's that's our first lesson, is your DNA is like an iPhone. It's like a programming. Now, where LifeVantage is able to look at different processes that are going on in people's bodies, and sometimes one product, we can have a product or a product combination that will benefit someone who's, maybe in hospice or struggling with dementia, like Shanell has experienced with her residents, or a child who's 10 struggling with ADHD or an autoimmune process, or someone, middle-aged that's going through, I don't know, menopause or hormonal imbalance, and all the different things that our bodies can go through. How can one combination or one combination of products affect all those things? And the reality is that no matter what you're struggling with, no matter what diagnoses, that's okay. That's okay, Tam. No matter what unwellness that's going on in our body. So if you think, a lot of times when we're doing a class, I'll tell people, think of all the diagnoses that you have. And usually if we have a room of, 10, 12, 20 people, I can say, we probably have 30 diagnoses in this room or more. We're going to have a tabletop, like a four-legged tabletop, represent all of those diagnoses, no matter what they are. Nobody has to say what they are, whether it's COVID or whether it's arthritis, what MS, ALS, doesn't matter. It's represented by this tabletop. And then I tell them, I said, think of all the diagnoses that you don't want. And it might be cancer, it might be lupus, all of the things. And then that's also represented by the tabletop. And then I tell them, think of all the diagnoses of the people that you love, that you wish they didn't have. And those are also represented by the tabletop. And the scientific reality, the genetic reality, the biological and physiological reality of that is that no matter what that tabletop is representing, the same dysfunctions in the cells are supporting it, like the legs of the table. And so whether we're talking about cancer or whether we're talking about diabetes or whether we're talking about depression, same leg of the table, same dysfunction in the cell supporting that disease process. Whether we're talking about aging, you name it. It's whether we're talking about recovering from an injury, same dysfunctions. And there's several of them. Yes, I wish there was just one, but our bodies are really complex with different systems. And in the same way that if you started working out, you wouldn't just work on your right bicep, you'd actually probably work on your quads and your triceps and your lats and your glutes. And you realize there's a system and many things in your body that work together. In the same way, there's several cellular dysfunctions that need to be addressed. But 60 years ago, a team of scientists, now it's over 60 years, a team of scientists really started looking at the first cellular dysfunction, oxidative stress. It's why people eat foods rich in antioxidants. It's why people take antioxidant supplements. But those things can't lower your oxidative stress enough to change the trajectory of a disease process or an aging process, because your oxidative stress just multiplies insurmountably every single day that we're alive. And if you have unwellness in your body, it's even higher. And so any external antioxidant, while it's good for you, it can't make a dent. So what I tell people is like, yeah, if I ate 9 pounds of blueberries today, it might just rub that table leg, but it's not going to knock the table leg out from under that tabletop to where the tabletop maybe couldn't hold my computer anymore. It wouldn't have the same properties. So these scientists thought, God, if there was a way that we could eliminate oxidative stress, if oxidative stress supports aging and the vulnerabilities of aging and really is a supportive link to any disease you can think of, what if we could eliminate oxidative stress? And so through 40 years of research, they wound up at the University of Colorado in Denver, and not a company. So that's what I love too. Like, we weren't a company looking for a product to sell to make a profit. It was a team of scientists saying we want to do what's never been done. Nobody's ever been able to lower oxidative stress. Nobody's ever been able to change someone's health trajectory through getting rid of one of those supportive dysfunctions to disease. And way ahead of the Human Genome Project, they discovered this pathway called NRF2. And you know it because I know you're taking NRF2. And they found that this pathway, and there were several things that kind of tickle the pathway, broccoli, turmeric, there's things on their own that just, again, they kind of tickle that pathway, but still they don't knock it, they don't turn it on so powerfully that it changes anything. And they found when they synergized these 5 herbs, turmeric, ashwagandha, green tea extract, milk thistle, and bacoba. I always say it in a different order, so then I always leave myself with which one didn't I say. Um, they synergize literally micro amounts of those 5 herbs, but harvested in the right way, at the right time, combined in the right way. 13 patents on our process. So we have international patents, we have United States patents. So you can't get the same result by just taking those things separately.
Mm.
But the way they're combined, they formed this synergy. And in science, the word synergy means the result is far greater than the sum of its parts. And that's what happens with our activators. But that first one was NRF2, and they found that that synergy so powerfully turned on your NRF2 pathway that it started making super antioxidants and lowering oxidative stress at a rate they never have seen before. And so their first study on humans had 100% efficacy, and that's unheard of. There aren't really pharmaceuticals out there that have 100% efficacy. And so that was alarming. And you can be skeptical of that. We want you to be. 100% of the subjects lowered their oxidative stress at least 40% in 30 days, which also has never been done. And so, fortunately for us, at that time, that got the world's attention. Wall Street Journal published an article on it. ABC Primetime, which is an American news investigative TV show that was really popular 20 years ago, came in and did an investigative expose, like they were going to bust them. And after that aired, there were organizations all over the world that wanted to study it on their own millions of dollars, like Harvard University and our government agencies and different universities, American Heart Association, and really world-renowned organizations started studying it. And so I want to just show you just a less than 2-minute clip of that ABC primetime to show you how
Yeah, I've seen that one.
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the whole clip.
Yeah, I'm gonna just play that so we can build off of it. It's pretty short, and this is
Okay.
kind of the nice, um, to the point, less than 2-minute version.
Yeah.
Normally, oxidative stress, measured by those T-bars, increases with age. But in Dr. McCord's tests, taking just one pill of Protandim a day reversed that trend for everyone at every age, even for an 80-year-old.
They all are reduced to the level of oxidative stress that one would expect, frankly, in a newborn or a very young child.
Back to the oxidative stress levels of a child? It sounds too good to be true. Will Protandim work on me? But what about my progress? After nearly 2 weeks now, it's time to get my results. Dr. McCord calculates the numbers. The result, my level of oxidative stress has declined dramatically.
45%, that's excellent.
Just look at where I fall on the graph, before and after.
Which, if extrapolated back, is the level you would see in a newborn baby.
Have we turned back the clock? Well, maybe not on the outside, but deep inside within my cells. Yes, indeed.
Would you suggest I keep taking this supplement?
I would. And so, ancient Eastern healing and modern Western medicine may soon be working together. High oxidative stress is associated with more than aging. It's been linked to hundreds of illnesses.
It's at the very center of many diseases: liver disease, diabetes, emphysema, asthma. I've studied all of these: strokes, heart attacks,
Even mental disease.
yes,
Depression.
Alzheimer's disease, depression. So we do know that oxidative stress is part of those disease processes. But I don't want to wait until I'm 80 years old and find out that I should have taken it.
It kind of just gives you a little glimpse. And
Yeah.
do you have the full version?
Yeah, I have the full version.
Awesome. Yeah. And I love the 12-minute version, but it's nice, like in this class, I can give without taking up too much
Yeah,
time.
that's good.
Yeah.
I think you sent me that before, but
Yeah.
send it.
I can
I'll get
resend
Tammy
it.
to send it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We have like a standard 12-minute one that I can make sure to get to you. And you know what? It's a great first touch for people. When people are wondering what it is, it immediately steps into, it immediately steps into this very strong validation. And it's still one of our strongest marketing tools, and it's a 20-year-old news clip, but it just
Yeah.
kind of shows, I mean, they were in the business of proving people wrong. And we see that here, this Emmy award-winning reporter 20 years later is still on our product because
Yeah.
you couldn't differentiate his blood from that of a newborn with the stress oxidation measurement, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty sure Tammy sent me the 12-minute one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, awesome. And we have a new consultant onboarding tool, and it's in there too. So we'll make sure that you have that also. And so really, because this aired, 9 million people wanted to buy it, and we weren't a company. So there was a little bit of scrambling to become a company. And since then, we've really kind of exploded on the scene, furthering nutrigenomics, because there are more dysfunctions in the cells besides oxidative stress. Though, of course, we can look at inflammation itself is rooted in oxidative stress. And by taking something, we signal our body to make what it needs to eliminate dysfunctions or regulate our DNA in such a way that it regulates the dysfunction instead of allowing it to be kind of out of control and having its way. So with NRF2, we take our NRF2 tablet so that our body starts making antioxidants literally trillion times more powerful at a more powerful rate than any external source of antioxidant from the cleanest organic supplement or food that could just never compare with that. And so we see a change in the trajectory of disease process, like my son and myself and Deshawn and what Shanell has seen at Gull Arbor. And people started giving it to their pets. And so we formulated a pet version for small animals. And I mentioned this one up front because there's no placebo effect with a dog or a horse. And I love to show people that while we see anything from skin results to mental health results to gut health results to cancer results, you know, when you look at a dog, you can see the difference here in just their aging process. You see these two dot with the yellow arrow underneath, these brothers from the same litter at 7 years old, and the one on the right is NRF2 activated. So that's what that's the difference in a human that's been NRF2 activated versus his brother from the same litter who's more gray and clearly aging more. To the left, this one, the second one from the left, she's a coonhound standing next to our pool. This was my dog Bella, who literally stopped having Lyme disease show up in her labs, and they could no longer find her heart murmur. And she ended up not needing ACL surgery on her leg that they wanted to operate on. And even better for us, it leveled off her mental issues because she was mental. If you've ever been around a hound dog, we had a severely mental and high anxiety hound. And when she got activated, we just saw her become loving, calm, and compassionate. And whether it's a more severe health problem like the heart murmur or the Lyme disease, or it's literally an attitude adjustment so that we don't have to medicate her to go in the car because her anxiety is so much, you start to see the whole body come into balance. And so I'm going to actually hand it over to Shanell because I want you to hear from her experience coming into it and some of the studies that have stood out to her and how she's seen that through the years now. 9 years activating her residence at Gull Arbor has literally changed the whole identity of her adult foster care business. And so Shanell is a mother of 7. She's a grandmother of 4. So
Wow.
when you look at the pictures of the dogs aging, I know Shanell looks like a teenager, and she's been activated almost a decade. And so she's also a teacher, and she runs Gull Arbor and is an amazing advocate for nutrigenomics. So Shanell, take it away. I will mute myself and would love to hear from your expertise.
Thank you. Yeah, so I grew up in an AFC since I was 8 years old. So I was well versed with the aging process, and not only that, the dying process and everything else, the sickness, once somebody gets to an AFC level. Once I turned 18, I was out. I never wanted to go back. I didn't want to do it. It was just depressing. It was hard. I just thought this was not for me. And I was ready to be done. Well, several years later, my mom needed to step back with my sister, who was very sick at the time. And I kind of got plugged into it a little bit sooner than I thought I would, and kind of took over the family business. And it just brought me right back to the memories of why I didn't want to do it. Like just seeing senior citizens, younger and younger, actually, and living horrible. The quality of life was horrible. Like it was not golden years. By far is what I was seeing, golden years. And in my heart, I just couldn't accept it. I just could not accept that this is how it had to be, and this is what aging had to look like. And I have this mentality, like I want to change the world. I want to do something better. If I'm in control of it, if it's under my supervision or hands, I've got to just do something to help. So I did. I started researching everything, similar to Angie's experience. I think that's why I could keep talking with Angie. It's because I understood being like feeling like you've exhausted all options. I went through all supplements and did all these mushrooms and coffees and acupuncture and just everything that I could think of to help the quality of life of my residents. Most of the time I had them anywhere from 1 month to 18 months was pretty much a long stay once they reached AFC level care. And it was just really hard to take. You fall in love with them, their family, and then they're gone. And their quality of life was horrible. Just in a wheelchair, dementia, just chronic sickness. It was just hard to watch. And thankfully, I did have a doctor that was on board with me, that was okay with me researching all of these things. And he even joined me. He had the same compassion and the same desire, like there's got to be something here. And he did eventually have a friend in Hawaii that's a doctor. He flew out there to find out how this doctor was so excited about how he was getting people back. He was a physical therapist, and he was getting people rehabbed so quickly and just off medications and all of these things. And he hadn't come out there to study it. And he came back and told me about it and said, "You are not going to believe this." And so I started studying it too. And when Angie says 8 months, the reason why it was 8 months is because of all of these 31 peer-reviewed studies. Like I started it. And actually, I ended up after 4 months putting myself on it because I got to the Ohio State University and the American Heart Association study and thought, oh my goodness, maybe this could do something for me, because I had heart a heart issue that was going to require surgery. The doctors told me like it was inevitable that I was going to need surgery. It was just a matter of time of when it would be. I delivered all my first 6 on the heart floor of a hospital so that they could be monitoring me, and was ready for heart surgery at any time. And when I read these studies, I was like, okay, I'm going to start myself on it. I was for sure on that. And so I started myself on it. And 4 months later, I had no more heart palpitations and I had a normal EKG. So after I continued studying the rest of the peer-reviewed studies, I thought there's just no way. I'm definitely starting my residents on it. Some of the things that got my attention was the Washington State University did a study, and it said this is possibly the most preventative and therapeutic measures in the history of the world of medicine. So I'm thinking that blew my mind right there, like therapeutic and preventative. And also we had one on the National Institute of Aging, and it was the first proprietary natural blend they had ever studied, and it was proved to increase lifespan. So that got my attention, and I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't want to just increase lifespan with somebody being sick, but when you match the Washington State University with the National Institute of Aging and saying, okay, this is therapeutic and preventative, quality of life will increase and life will increase, lifespan, I'm like, this is something I can get behind. Like I've got to try this. And the results that I had for myself was compelling enough to be like, I'm on board. So I started it with my residents. And the very first things I saw were things like blood pressure meds. We had to start regulating them. People who are on blood pressure meds their whole life or came to us on were all of a sudden needing those meds decreased or even stopped. It just regulated the blood pressure just perfectly. We started seeing things like I had a resident that had supranuclear palsy, and she came to me with falls. It's a horrible, horrible, debilitating disease, and you lose all muscle tone, and it's just you can't read, you can't eat, you lose your ability of your tongue, your eyes, everything. It's horrible. And she was doing falls. There's a dementia component to it also. She was falling when she came. She had dementia. And I started her on this, and instead of seeing a decline, which this is absolutely, you just continued to progress with this disease and get worse and worse. She just kind of plateaued and stopped. She wasn't declining. And not only that, after a few months, we started seeing her being able to actually function better. We were seeing that she was picking up a book to read. We were seeing her dementia component was gone. She wasn't combative. She wasn't confused where she was at each morning. She was able to walk really well, where she was asking us not to walk beside her anymore because she could do it. And we were seeing all of these things just change. And then she went to the neurologist a year later, and he's like, I can't make sense of this, that the progression hasn't happened the way it's supposed to, but I'm still not going to give you permission to walk on your own. You know, there's no cure for this. There's no remission in this. It's just going to continue. And so she came back to us again with another full year of just getting better. It was crazy, where she kept asking, please, I just want to go to the bathroom myself. I just want to come out to the table myself, which is unheard of in itself that she was even able to do that. And the second year she went back to the neurologist, and they were like, threw up their hands. I was like, I can't explain it. You don't have any markers for this anymore. We know this is no cure. We know there's no remission for this. All I can say is that you have no markers. If you want to walk on your own and you want to take that risk, I will clear it for you. And so she came back to us and did. She did just that and continued just living quality life. She was going to get her hair done with her daughter. She was going shopping with her daughter. All of these things that just defy the odds of that ever happening with supranuclear palsy. Angie's father passed of that too, and she had not at all that experience with her dad. It was horrific. So to see this kind of a thing was exciting. And she continued on for 4 more years after that, just living great. And even of the morning she died, she came out and she was like, I just don't feel like eating. I'm still tired. She went back to bed and she just fell asleep. And just like Angie said, there's no placebo effect with dogs. There isn't also in the death process. And it was one of the reasons I just couldn't wait to get out of geriatrics and nursing home, is because the death process can be violent. You need morphine, and it is just a horrible thing to watch sitting beside somebody as they fill up with fluid and the chain stoking and the morphine envelope. It's just hard to watch. And ever since I started activating my residents, I don't see that. It's so beautiful. I see the most incredible, peaceful passing where they stay alert till the end. The signs that I see that maybe the end is near is their body just doesn't want to eat very much anymore. And they also sleep a lot more. And those are my signs. And you try telling a hospice nurse that when their vitals are still good and all of this other stuff, and they're like, no, honey, she's not, like, I have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm thinking, oh, this is so hard. And then sure enough, they pass while they're reading a book, or they pass while they were sleeping that night, or it's beautiful. They were just talking and carrying on a conversation and reclined in their chair and passed. There's times that they'll just obviously get weaker and weaker too. They'll be in bed. We know the time is near, but it doesn't look like anything, very close within days or weeks or anything. And they just pass so incredibly peacefully. So that's been a game changer. On top of, I've had people come that are on hospice. You've never seen this before. The last 10 years of activation, where people come off hospice. Like usually when they're geriatrics and they're on hospice, that, we know the progression. We know how that's going to end and where it's going. But I had one gentleman that came to me in a wheelchair. He couldn't walk. He was skin and bones. He wasn't gaining weight. He had sores all over himself. He was just failure to thrive. And he came on hospice with, maybe months to live at most if we couldn't get him eating and, doing better. He had been to rehab. Rehab said they couldn't do anything for him. So he came to us to just kind of be under our care and with hospice and to pass. And we started him on activation, and he just slowly started coming back and getting better, being able to eat, being able to gain strength, where we got him off hospice and on therapy, physical therapy, where he got to be able to walk. And now we're at 6 years later, he's driving. He's actually doing a garden at our place.
Wow.
And he even drove to Illinois to see his older brother, like drove to Illinois.
Wow.
He's doing great. He's off so many of his meds that he was on. He came to us suicidal even. He didn't even want to. Now he's laughing and enjoying life, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. We saw somebody that had fallen and went into the hospital for a fracture, and they came back to us. This is just actually pretty recent even. And we got her on PT, and the PT came and said, there's just no way. She's not going to walk again. She's too old. She's in a terrible amount of pain. I can't even get her out of bed. And I'm like, if you can work with us, like I've got activation on board. If you just come and make little steps each day, we're going to have her walking by the end of the month. And he was like, absolutely not. I'll come back and see that. It was almost like a challenge. And I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding. So I just was like, I promise you will. Well, he took himself off the case and gave us just somebody else because he just didn't see it happening for her. So he just, moved us on. But we continued with PT, and it was 7 days later. 7 days later. In 4 days, she was standing and doing weight bearing. In 5 days, she took a couple steps and switched. By the 6th day, she's walking. And I even got a call today from her PT and OT that said, I cannot believe this. Like, she is doing fantastic. Like, it's mind-blowing to me how much better she's getting. Like, she is just doing so well. So that's exciting. And it is so common for us. Like last year, I got somebody home again after coming to rehab with a spinal surgery. They were just like, there's nothing we can do. She's not healing. She's not walking. She's not making, she's not progressing in the rehab, making good strides forward. So we're just going to go ahead and release her. And so her husband brought her to us. We started her on activation, and by the end of the month, her spine from the surgery was healed. She was walking again. She was ready to go home. And it was incredible. And it was all for activation. It's what we have on board. And that's why Angie says, like, it is more cost effective for me to put everybody on it. My daughter and I were even looking through pictures the other day as we were getting ready to do a PowerPoint for our presentation. And I looked back at pictures from 15 years ago of the AFC, and I just saw these people just, just curled up in their wheelchair or so confused or playing with Play-Doh or all of these different things. And I just looked at it and I was just like, I wish I would have known about activation then, because now I look at the pictures now. I even put a video out on our Facebook page not very long ago, and you wouldn't believe the difference. The residents are dancing with some of the kids that the staff brings their kids to work. They're dancing. They're, pulling them around in a wagon. They're gardening outside. Their cars are in the driveway because they're driving. Like, it is just night and day difference. I'm looking at these pictures and I'm like, this is before activation, Hannah, and this is after. And
Wow.
I just feel like I'm just so thankful to God that He brought me to this place, because I feel like I'm living my dream. I'm giving people a choice to go home again. Some of them choose not to. Like the gentleman I talked to, could he go home again? Yes. But he sold his house already. His wife has passed. He doesn't want to. But you know what? He has the freedom now. And that's what it's about. And I just feel like if we can get this to people sooner, it's preventative measures. Like maybe they wouldn't even need an AFC. Maybe they could stay home and not even go to an AFC. And if they do, they have a choice. It's their choice. And that's freedom also, freedom and a choice to go. And the dying process, to have it happen with such dignity and being alert, and families get to sit by their families, by their mother or father's bedside and talk to them all the end. We had somebody pass in December who was singing hymns. He was a pastor and he was singing hymns all the way up to moments before he passed. And those things are priceless when you have those moments with a loved one. It's incredible. It's priceless. Those moments are absolutely priceless. And so that's what we're seeing at Gull Arbor. And I feel like it's absolutely what I've set out to accomplish is golden years back. And now I'm seeing people dying young at a ripe old age. They're just living. Their golden years are back. And instead of having somebody from like 1 month, 18 months, like I said, which is the longest time. I've got people 5 or 6 years there now and still going. Like you'd have to wait. I'll tell you when when the one passes. But right now they're still going. And that's common for me, is just to see people sitting at the table talking. Like the dementia component is not there. You know, if they came to us and we started NRF2, we haven't seen them decline in dementia. If they've come to us in dementia, we're putting them on this and we're seeing strides forward. But the people that came to me 5 or 6 years ago without dementia are still not in that stage now, which was crazy in and of itself also. So those are the things I'm seeing. Is there anything else, Angie, that you wanted me to talk about in particular?
No, I mean, it's
No.
all,
It's incredible. It's kind of like unbelievable, really, isn't it?
it
You know?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a dream,
Yeah.
but don't wake me up from it, because I'm not stopping. Like this is what we do, and we see incredible things, and my waiting list is forever long because I don't have that rotating,
Yeah.
people dying and coming back in. It's like
Yeah.
we have longevity.
My best mate works in a rest home, and that's what she does. She
Yeah.
sends people through to the end, basically.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And it's interesting because it is everything that's happening at Shanell's home is unbelievable. And it seems like it's something out of a movie. And I know, when my dad passed almost 20 years ago from progressive supranuclear palsy, that first ailment that Shanell was talking about with one of her gals, Dolores. My dad passed at 66. Shanell got Dolores when Dolores was 92. And Dolores had one more year prognosis to live. And my dad, it took us several years to get a diagnosis because it's very rare. And then once we got the diagnosis, it was pretty much go home and die because there's nothing we can do for you. But now we've put a label on it. And it attacks that frontal lobe, which in the brain, it just deteriorates all your muscle control. And he lost control of his tongue first. And so years before he passed, he lost the ability to speak. And then he lost all muscles in his face. So he couldn't form an expression, including opening his eyes. He couldn't open his eyes. We try Botox injections every now and then to try to get his eyes to open. So we couldn't communicate. There was a dementia component, but he couldn't talk or express. He couldn't walk on his own. And so he had lost his life years before he passed. And then when he did pass, it was so violent, so long, and so medicated. It was just horrifying. And so he was in his 60s. And then when Shanell called me that day about Dolores to tell me the results, that she had a gal in her 90s that had reversed every symptom of progressive supranuclear palsy, I just thought, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Like, can she talk? And Chanel's like, oh yeah, she's singing. And I'm like, well, can she open her eyes? And Chanel's like, she reads every day. And it just like the
Wow.
quality of life. And then she lived 5 years without symptoms. And on the day she passed, she was able to walk out to the breakfast table and just tell Shanell that she felt too tired and wanted to take a nap and went to sleep. And that was her death. And it's such a robbery that kind of righteous anger has risen up in me because although it sounds too good to be true and unbelievable, when my dad was fighting for his life and wished there was anything to help, and we wished there was anything to help him, deep in my heart, I thought there's got to be something. Like, how can there not be something to help my dad? Like there's a part of us that really, we're skeptical and yet we want to believe there's really something that can help. And so it's it's a gift for me to be able to at least share with people that they have the option of this. And at least they know, because I'm angry that we didn't know, 20 years ago. It was just a baby product back then. And even now, in most rooms I go in, no one knows but me. It's still not known enough because we're not pharma. And in America, pharmaceutical commercials are constantly on TV. And I think also in New Zealand, but you guys have regulations. We're the only two countries that allow pharmaceutical commercials and marketing. And
Yeah.
and it just kind of, that's all anybody knows about around here. And it's heartbreaking. And so it's just kind of given Shanell and I kind of a moral obligation mission to let people know this is at least an option. You need to know about it. What you do with the knowledge is up to you. And because we've seen what we've seen, and even here, we love to show this picture. This kind of shows such an obvious difference where you see these two activated dogs, each at 13. And Sabrina started activating at 13, and Amelia started activating at 3. And so it just shows like that changes an aging trajectory right there.
If
You
you
know,
start, when did they start? When were they activated? Year 3.
the one on the left started at 3 years old, or I'm sorry, started at 13 years old.
Oh,
And the one on the right started,
got it.
no,
3.
The
Oh,
one on the left started at 13, and the one on the right started at 3.
yeah, okay.
And they're both 13.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
and so, you know, where Shanell comes in is Shanell gets the Sabrinas. You know, she gets the people a lot of times at the last leg of their
It's the
race.
Sabrinas.
Yes, but it's not too late. You know, like I'd rather activate a Sabrina than just let Sabrina go, you know, and suffer. And so like the guy said, I don't want to wait till I'm 80 to start
Is-
taking it. But you know
Is
what?
your dog on it, Timmy?
Yeah. Is your dog on it, Tammy?
Sorry, I was having a hard time. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Lila is on it.
Lila, that's it, her name. I couldn't think of her
She-
name.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to step away. I can't be gone too long because Michael,
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course.
get
Don't-
cranky. I snuck away though. I don't think he saw me. She's
yeah,
been
go
on it
back.
because, she's got a lot of arthritis. I don't know if it's arthritis, but she has a lot of issues. She likes to play and her hips bother her. So yeah, she's been on it for probably maybe 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'll see how she does. I mean, she
See if
seems to
she's
be doing
different when I
okay.
get there. Last time I
Yeah.
was there, she didn't want to walk. She was a bit, if you remember, she'd walk half
Yeah. So
turn
you
around.
saw that.
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I know her now, and I haven't been in her life as long as you have, Margaret, but she's pretty peppy when I'm there. Like she's ready to go. She wants a lot of love.
It's been a few years, but yeah, a couple of years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only, I don't know, 2, 3, no, 4 years maybe. 4 years ago, maybe. I
Yeah.
can't-
So she's older.
yeah, she's older.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, I'll skip past that.
Oh,
But
there's
it's,
pets. I didn't know you had them for pets. I don't
Yeah.
know why.
oh yeah.
Maybe
My
because
mom
I
was
don't
gonna
have
have
a
to put
pet.
down her
so I
horse.
don't. Huh?
And my mom's gonna have to put down her horse, and through activation, she was able to get her back and not have to put her down. So
Oh,
now
so you do it for horses as well. Any pet,
Yep.
pet.
She
Yep.
actually went on to breed her even. So she went from being needing to put down to being able to breed her. So
Oh, wow. I didn't know. I mean, I don't have a pet, so I didn't probably even consider that.
Yeah. Yeah. You will know people who do though. And
Yeah, I do know people
Yeah.
that have pets and they love them, of course.
oh yeah. And a lot of people will take better care of their pet's health than they will their own. It's just a reality.
That's true.
And yeah.
That's true, that's
So
true.
so we've continued on with the product line. There are other products besides NRF2 that Shanell
Yeah.
shares at Gull Arbor, and not all of what we have in America is available in New Zealand, but the big hitters are.
Yeah.
And you know, we have the NRF2, we have the NRF1, which activates your body's strengthening and building of mitochondria, and that's your cellular energy. Your NRF2 kind of needs that NRF1. The mitochondria helps everything that the NRF2 produces to be sustained in the body. And your organs depend on your mitochondria to really function at their maximum capacity, which we all want. We want our organs functioning well. You need your mitochondria to sleep deep. And so that NRF1 is pretty incredible. I don't think you have NAD in New Zealand, but you do have activated collagen, and activated collagen is a biggie. So I'm going to move to that because
Did we have any AD? Because I got it. I
oh,
got
you
it
do
by
have the
mistake.
NAD. You're
Well,
right.
I'm pretty sure we did because didn't
You
I get
do.
it by mistake?
Yeah.
I think I
It's
took-
Axio. It's Axio that you don't have. I misspoke. So yes.
and just to be clear, at Gull Arbor, everybody's on most people are on the NRF2 and the collagen. Not just
yeah,
the NRF2.
I see that.
Yeah.
The collagen's quite pricey, is it? Or I
It
can't
is.
remember.
It is. It's
It
What
works.
is it?
It's just like our mind body. It's a little bit more of a high end because,
Don't, Tammy, you better go. Mike's found you.
uh-oh, don't be mad, Mike.
Here he comes.
Did he flip us off?
No, that's not Mike. That's my friend Jody.
Oh, I thought Mike had found you.
This is Jody. Margaret is my friend from New Zealand, and she's a consultant.
Oh,
And Jody takes the products and she loves it.
oh yeah, I could be a
Nice.
spokesgirl.
Oh, yes.
I
We
got
want you
it
to
all
be
down.
Jody.
Well, nice to see you guys. I love your product that you're all selling.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
good to see you,
I could be a
Jody.
spokesman. Do I get something free, or is it another telemarketing like a like a timeshare?
You know what? You just keep referring people to us and we'll give you something free every time one of your people.
Did you hear her, Jody? She goes, you just keep referring people to us and we'll give you something free every time. So, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard it.
Yeah. We'll work with you, Jody.
Yeah, she's trying to get people off that powder collagen. She said, me too.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh, please. So,
Yeah.
no, she's not taking it.
okay, we'll get on track here.
Yeah.
So the big deal about our products and why they are priced the way they are is that we test every batch. Every single batch has to be formulated with the raw materials that actually activate pathways in your DNA to produce what we say they produce. And there's an ingredient in the collagen that we source from the Himalayas. So it's not like we can look for a cheaper source of that because we're getting plants at their peak of activation. And our collagen activates 3 different pathways that start your body's production of collagen. And collagen's your most abundant protein in every single cell, in your brain cells, in your heart cells, in your connective tissue, every organ. Yes, your skin and your hair and your nails, and it gets cosmetic, but we've seen people come out of dementia because the collagen was added to NRF2. And I've seen people come out of congestive heart failure and get heart function back with the activated collagen and NRF2 because it's so regenerative. And activating those pathways to produce the collagen actually activates about 3,000% more antioxidants as well. And so it also becomes very antioxidant like NRF2. And when those two are combined, they regulate 3,000 survival genes and they de-stress, actually not oxidative stress, but stress, like fight or flight stress, or like I'm losing my job stress, or I just lost a relationship stress. And your cells hold that stress, which causes havoc in your body. That's why your doctors don't want you stressed. And this combination actually de-stresses your fibroblast cells 992%. And we have a patent on the combination, the result of combining those two. So it's such a deep health product and it resets your immune system. It regulates the genetic pathway that's responsible for autoimmune processes, the one that's responsible for diabetic processes and cancer tumors metastasizing process. And and that's only 3 of the 3,000. So it's just such a strong, powerful health product. And I think if we actually let people know this isn't like your store-bought collagen, we're not even on the same comparison because we're not just And so yes,
I get it.
yeah, it's a higher end product, but there's just literally nothing like it. And so when you see the effects that it has on
I
the
need some of that.
yeah, me too. I mean, I love it. And the effects that it has on the outside, that's what's happening to her heart and her brain and her bones and her joints. And, everything inside is experiencing that too because we're activating and not just trying to give someone great skin, hair, and nails, which of course it does too. And I'm going to skip this one because that one's not in New Zealand. But
I see you do that, Tammy. That's that one I was asking you about.
Yes. We're gonna get you that when you're here so you can be exposed to it because we want you to have it. We'll maybe fill your suitcase with it, but
I've got a big suitcase.
yeah.
Wait, what do I have to fill her suitcase with?
Axio.
Oh, absolutely. I'm bringing a ton of that, girl.
Yeah, because
I
it's
think
not
that I have a big suitcase though.
yeah, it's not available in New Zealand, but we'll smuggle. We're not above smuggling. So,
Luckily.
and I'm recording this. I got to stop it. So you know about Mind Body, and
Yes.
what I love about this system is just like with all of our other activation products, we're taking something so that your body starts to heal, so that your body starts to make and regenerate what you need and balance. So the hard part is it's not the shot. It's not this quick fix, but the quick fixes harm you. And some people have really quick results with it, just like with any of our activators. And some people don't feel it at first, just like with any of our activators, because all of our activators are starting and initiating a healing process in your body. And everybody's body is uniquely supplied or deficient. Like some people's bodies are ready and some people's bodies have to heal to the point of readiness. And we all wish that we were just like medicating it like a narcotic. But the great thing is, these are longevity products that bring healing and regeneration and longevity health. But what we're seeing and we're able to say is that this system, and again, I between you and I, Margaret, I'm the same way. The core, and Tammy's the same way. The core is the meat and potatoes of this, and the enhance is the fiber that we all should be getting for our gut. People who are getting enough fiber, which is not very many people in this world, can't tolerate the enhance because they're overdosing if they get a lot of fiber. And
Yeah, I get too much. I
Yeah.
can only do a scoop. Can you take the core without the
I do.
nuts?
I do. I take the core, and maybe once a week I'll do a scoop or two of
Yeah,
the
because
enhance.
I was just wondering if you can do
Yeah,
it.
you
without,
sure
'cause
can.
obviously,
Yep.
I have a lot of fiber anyway.
Yeah, me
but,
too. Me too.
okay.
The beauty of that is it is regulating blood sugar. It's protecting your
Yeah,
heart.
okay.
It's protecting your brain. It's helping improve your gut, your liver, your liver and kidneys, and your circulation. And we're seeing just incredible things in overall organ health from, Shanell's daughter has just an incredible ADHD testimony with the Mind Body, and people are keeping their muscle and gaining it. They're not losing their muscle. They're losing
Yeah.
27% of that visceral, dangerous fat that surrounds your organs. That's the fatty liver fat. That's the heart disease fat. And at the same time, their cravings are getting healthier, and their food noise is diminishing. And I will tell you, my journey's been long with it. And I've had some results in the beginning, early on, that were like sleep, and I could feel my hormones balancing. I wasn't losing weight, and I could feel my cravings shift. My stamina and my athletic recovery was better. And it's just now I'm in month 9 and I am like in a stride. I'm really feeling my body change now. My body's having to move, and I'm unique. But I've really abused my body in the past. Even though I've been activated for 9 years, I had a really bad eating disorder and messed up my metabolism so bad for so many years in my youth. And so I realized there was a lot of repair as far as my metabolic health that needed to take place. And I have people who like lose weight like that. My husband lost 21 pounds. And like it's really interesting people's different experience, but we see some really great things from people. Many thin people get on it so that their BMI shifts, so that they have healthy hormone levels, so that they're getting the benefit of the blood sugar regulation and the brain health and the focus and the sleep. And they just want the regulation because your body's not going to lose too much weight on this. Activation brings you into balance. And then we have people like Shauna down in the middle, and she's struggling. She has struggled with diet and weight loss her whole life. And this finally shut off the food noise for her, meaning like she just could stop eating and not be thinking about food and obsessing over it all the time. And it was getting her body to work for her, which is really how I felt too. I felt like my body is finally kind of really on my side. And it's amazing to have that. Our new study shows that we've actually increased your natural GLP-1 production by 200%, which is really, really incredible. And they've done some more extensive studies on just people's sugar cravings, 95% reduction in sugar cravings. And that I feel like I just have zero pull towards that now.
I
And
used to have chocolate every day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And since I've been on this, it's like I might have had chocolate a handful of times. Like I don't get pulled to it. I don't think about it even. It's crazy.
wow. Wow. Yeah. It's just it's been really, really incredible, but it is an activation product, which means it's going to heal the inner things first and really brilliantly in our bodies. That's all the reasons why people are holding on to extra weight anyway. We always want it to be just about the fat, and it's actually not. Our bodies are a little bit more complex. And with activation, we kind of talk about the fact that, when you activate even one pathway in your body, it's like even that one pathway, it's like tuning a whole symphony. And we don't realize how many instruments are out of tune or how many instruments need to be in tune for the music to play right. And with so many of our health problems in the medical world, we just think medication, medication, medication that kind of mask a lot of disease processes and symptoms. Whereas activation's approach is heal, tune every instrument, heal all the things that are, and regulate all the things that would be affecting this. And that's how we're able to see the longevity, the reverse aging, and the change in the disease process. So what we do at this point normally is just open it up for questions. I don't know if we've talked, if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer. We've got usually our classes like this go about an hour. Yeah. So questions, anything.
No, I think I asked a couple, but not right now.
Okay.